Exodus chapter 17. And I want to pick up the reading at verse number 8. Exodus 17 at verse number 8. You have a wonderful theme here, walking in God's presence. Blessed is the man who walketh not counsel of the ungodly, so forth. Wonderful idea. But I want to point you to Exodus 17, beginning at verse number 8. This is a message I've always try and lift at my son's annual day, make sure that I get it in at this son's, because I think it's a critical text for us today. Are you there? Say amen. Amen. Then came Amalek, fought with Israel in Rephidim. Moses said unto Joshua, choose out men, go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him, fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Came to pass, when Moses held up his hands, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone, put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the right side, the other on the other side. And his hands were steady under the going down of the sun. Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And the Lord said, write unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. For he said, because the Lord has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. I want to talk about very briefly what every leader needs to succeed. What every leader needs to succeed. I have about 135 pastors in my class in December in Nashville, Tennessee, who have been pastoring 5 years or less. And I tried to convince them of this very critical text, the lives of Moses and Aaron, that in ministry there was always going to be some hills to climb. In ministry, there's always going to be one more battle. There's going to be one more opposition, one more river to cross. Just about time you get something nailed down, something pops up over somewhere else. And this ministry business is not for the faint of heart. As a matter of fact, it is not something that you go into, you better be called into it. Because if you just went into it, you can just go right out of it. But when God has laid his hands on your life, and God has so designated you to be the leader for the time, then I think it's important for us to understand that God has a way of preparing leaders for success. As a matter of fact, for you and I both, God never puts a person anywhere to fail. He didn't put you where you are for you not to succeed. The job you have right now, God meant for you to succeed on that job. The family you're in, God meant for you to succeed. Even with some cousins who may be suspect. And yet God put you in that family. Sometimes you are the only salt in the room. Sometimes you can't depend on brother or sister or big mama or sister girl or brother, Pookie, Baby, Junebug, and them. sometimes you're the only one in the room that's got good sense. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody willing to admit you got some family members that's kind of suspect on the sense level? And yet God says to us that I did not put you in that family or nowhere else for you to fail. I put you there to succeed. Moses in chapter 17 is leading 2 million Jews. He is leading them by the strong arm of God. They're out of Egypt, but Egypt is not out of them. And sometimes it takes a while to get Egypt out of us, because we have a tendency to pick up Egyptian ways. We have a tendency to pick up stuff that other folk are doing. And I don't know when we started this, but there was a time when we did not do that to our babies. We kept our babies. Even if Aunt Sally Mae had to raise them. Anybody know what I'm talking about? There was a time when I was coming up, daddies didn't fool with their daughters. As a matter of fact, she couldn't come around the house, walk around the house in her slip. Anybody remember those days? Amen. That wasn't what we were. That wasn't our problem. Amen. Our problem wasn't killing each other. Amen. Our problem was killing somebody else. Amen. But there was a time when we as a people looked out for each other, because we wanted the people down the road to succeed just like us. I don't know when we come to the point where we are concerned about our neighbor's success, so much so until we'll pull them down for us to get up. And so the Bible is clear that God has placed Moses to lead the people of Israel from one degree of grace to the other one. But in between, there are some battles that Israel had to go through. God does not give us a life free of battles. And there are times in our lives we just have to take a stand on who we know. So now Israel and Moses are at Rephidim. Verse 8 says, then came Amalek. Amalek is the enemy. Amalek represents the world. Amalek represents that forces that come against the children of God. There's always an Amalek around. The Bible says not a matter of if Amalek is coming, it's a matter of when. Then, point in time, came Amalek, and they did not come to negotiate with the children of Israel, because you cannot negotiate with the enemy. You can't have a meeting with the devil and get him to see your side. That just will not work. No. You got to sometimes stand and fight if necessary. The Bible says Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim, at that place of squeezing. Amen. Because Rephidim represents a place of tightness and squeezing. It's almost like you got a water hose that's on and you take it and squeeze it to cut it off. Amen. That's Rephidim.